Hi everyone, it's Dawn Duvall with Shall We Stamp. I am coming to you pre-recorded as we are out of town, but I wanted to do a one-sheet wonder for you all. You know, we tend to have so much pretty paper that we don't want to use it, right? So I thought what a great way that we can make a lot of cards and use up that pattern paper. We need to make our cards and send them out. And if you don't know, check in your area. You can send cards, take them to some assisted living or memory care places. You can send them to Cards for Soldiers if that's something you're interested in. I can provide you with the lady's name, Charlie on Facebook. She sends anywhere from 10 to 14,000 a week. She's got a team of people that work with her, and they are sent to soldiers all over the world. So anyways, keep that in mind. But we're going to work with a 12 by 12 sheet, and this is coming from our new online exclusives, a little latte designer series paper, and then I'm also going to work with the coordinating stamp. So I am going to turn the camera down. We're going to go over the template and I'll show you the paper. So this is the paper. I've tried to choose a generic or kind of nothing that has a major pattern except for this particular one, which it would be fine if it goes either way, but the back side is very neutral as well. So I wanted to use this paper. Let me show you the template. Now what we're going to do, and this should be uploaded into our Facebook group as well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut at 5 1/4, and then we'll cut 2 at 4 inches, and then we'll take the last piece and cut that in half, which would be 2 inches as well. And then the middle section we're going to cut 3 1/2 inches, and then we're going to do a 3 1/2 inch square, which means 3 by 3. And then we'll cut a 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, and then there's another piece that's 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, and we're going to cut that at a diagonal. And then the last strip, we're going to cut 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 twice, and then that will leave us a 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that will give us 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. Is that right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cards. So that will give us 11 cards. All right, so let's go ahead and get the paper cut, and then I'll come back with the cards that I make. All right, so the first thing we're going to do then is I'm bringing in my paper trimmer, and I'm going to line this up at 5 1/4. So I'm going to bring it all the way over to this mark right here on the paper trimmer, and this paper trimmer is with Stampin' Up, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that at 5 1/4. All right, set this one off to the side. Now we're going to turn this one according to our template, and we're going to cut this at 4 inches. So this would be a nice piece to use. So we're going to cut that at 4. Then we're going to bring it down, and we're going to do another 4 inches right there. All right, and then that leaves us another 4 inch. So we're going to line this up at 2 inches, and we're going to cut that down at the 2 inch mark. All right, so that's our first left side of the template that we're cutting. So I'm going to set those off to the side. Now the middle section we're going to do 3 1/2 inches. So we'll go ahead and cut this down to 3 1/2. Make sure you've got it lined up top and bottom on your paper trimmer. And we want to get that straight. So 3 1/2 inches. We'll pull this one off to the side. We're going to turn this one, and we're going to cut 3 1/2, which is going to give us a 3 1/2 inch square. All right, so we're going to cut one of those, and then we're going to do 3 1/2 by 4 1/4. So we're going to move this down to 4 1/4. 4 1/4. All right, so that gives us a little bit bigger piece. And then last piece is 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, and we're going to cut this at a diagonal. And the easiest way to do that is to line up your top point, and I'll pull it down so you can see. Put that right in your cutting track. Hold your finger on it, and then just slide the other one over so that point is in your track as well. And once it's lined up, I usually start inside a little bit so I don't, like how you go off the paper and it gives you a little different tear. So I'm going to pull it down and then go right straight back up. So now I have my 2 corner pieces that I can now use. So we'll set those aside. All right, and then our last piece is at 3 1/4. So we're going to verify that, and it is cut at 3 1/4. So we're going to turn this, and we're going to do another 3 1/4 cut. All right, and then we're going to do another 3 1/4. So we're going to make 2 of those. So we've got another 3 1/4 that we're going to cut. All right, and then that leaves us with a 3 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece. And we take that right over to the trimmer, and we are at 5 1/2. So there are our cuts according to the template. So I will be back in just a minute with the cards that I make, and we'll see how we do. See you in a few minutes. Okay, I am back with our cards and the template, which you can go to my blog at shallwestamp.com, and it should be posted for this afternoon. And you will, well, actually, it should be posted in the morning, so you'll have this before we start. And you'll be able to see download the template, as well as see the supply of products that I used as well. So, okay, so here's the template. So we're doing a 5 1/4 by 4, 5 1/4 by 4, and then 5 1/4 by 2, and we're going to do 2 of those. So let me show you the cards that I designed. I'm going to move this out of the way for just a second. So this is the 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and this is on a piece of pecan pie. And these are fussy cut from the designer paper. So that's one of the nice things about the paper, is that we can use that, and you don't even have to do any stamping. You could have just use your own sentiments. And then I just took another piece of paper that was a different piece than what we used for the One Sheet Wonder, and put that on the back on top of a piece of lemon lolly. It was just a small square, and then did our sentiment and popped that up on dimensionals. And then these 2 were cut from the paper, and this is Lost Lagoon, and then I cut a square of Lost Lagoon and stamped the beans and Lost Lagoon ink as well. So there you go. There's that one. All right, and then the next one, same thing. I've got this one, I did, the first card I did at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. This one I did at 4 1/4 by 11, but I have it so it opens to the left like a book. And then what I tried to do is I tried to look like, make this look like it was on a tablecloth. So I cut a triangle of lemon lolly and stamped some small flowers in lemon lolly as well. And then I cut this from the, I stamped this in pecan pie, and then I colored it with the lemon lolly Stampin' Blend. This is a piece of window sheet that I just cut out using the die from the dies. And then I just cut a piece, I fussy cut just a piece of black to put underneath to make it look like it was a full cup of coffee. And then these I stamped out of white, and then I just put a little bit of smoky slate just to give it a little bit darker look. And then the spoon I used the die and cut this out of some, like it's a darker silver that we had. So I went ahead and did that. And I thought it turned out pretty good, actually. And I popped these all up on dimensionals, and then I stamped my sentiment and put some twine underneath just to give it a little bit. I thought that turned out pretty good. So again, just use your imagination of what you can do. So that's the other 5 1/4 by 4 inches. Now the next 2 are the 2 inch by 5 1/4. So again, it's the 2 inches. This is on pecan pie. Again, this one's cut at 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. I just used the 2 3/8 circle punch and used the celebrating birthdays and stamped sending you, and it says warm hello, and I stamped that in lemon lolly. Put some twine underneath, and then I stamped these splotches are from the stamp set as well, so I stamped those in pecan pie, and then of course, put my white piece on the inside. And then here's the second one that I did of the 2 by 5 1/4. Same designer paper. This one, I fussy cut this out of the paper. This is Calypso Coral. I stamped this spoon, and then I colored in using the crumb cake. I think it was crumb cake dark, to get the spoon looking like it's holding a little bit of coffee. And again, I stamped the splotch on using Calypso Coral, and then just stamped a second time without re-inking, and did the sentiment as well, and popped that up on dimensionals. All right, so that's that one. All right, now the next, we're going to be into the center section of our template, and it's showing that we're going to be doing a 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 square. We're going to do a 3 1/2 by 4 1/4, and then we've got a 3 1/2 by 4 1/4 piece that we're going to cut at a diagonal. So let me show you those cards. This is in Petal Pink, and this is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. And then this one, I stamped these mugs again on white, basic white, using pecan pie and pretty pink ink, and then I just blended those in using our Stampin' Blends. This piece, I just flipped the Designer Series paper over, so you can see I love this color right there, and then stamped this sentiment down at the bottom in petal pink as well. And then these pieces right here are cut out. There's a die that cuts out that little coffee look, and so I did die cut those out and pop those on and just use adhesive to glue those down. All right, and then the next one is the 3.5 by 4 1/4. So again, I turned the paper over and I put that on a piece of petal pink. And then again, I fussy cut the two mugs out. This one I did pop up on dimensionals, and then there's a stamp that you can stamp that gives it the steam coming out. And then I put my sentiment where the cups are sitting on top of that. Put I think this is retired little gem, because to me it looked like the color of the coffee beans. And then these are coffee beans that I stamped in early espresso and colored, and I just fussy cut those out. There is a die, but it was just easier for me to fussy cut them out and put that there on a small dimensional, and that takes care of that card right there for the template. Okay, then the next two are the 3.5 by 4 that we cut at an angle. So this one I did on basic white. I did it thick basic white. I put a piece of petal pink, and then I took the stamp that has where the barista makes the different little designs in the coffee cup. I went ahead and stamped several of those, and then some bean clusters in between. And then I did a circle punch. I want to say this might be 1 3/4, 1.5, and I stamped "You're the Best Part of My Day" in Calypso Coral. All right, so there's that one. And then the other one I did, now this is on a piece of copper clay. I wasn't sure if this would go or not, but I tried on one of the cards. This is layered on a piece of petal pink, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And then I did pecan pie at 3 3/4 by 5. And then this is my corner piece, and I flipped it over from the heart side. And then I cut out, using the dies, I used smoky slate to cut out the coffee press. And then I did early espresso for the coffee itself. And then 2 cups out of petal pink with the early espresso. There's a die that cuts 2 of those out as well. And then my sentiment stamped in pecan pie, and I just laid that down just using my adhesive and did not pop those up. These are popped up on dimensionals as well as this. Isn't that cute? I mean, this set is just, if you don't have this Latte Love set, you've got to have it, because this, you can do so much with this. All right, and then the last part of our template shows that we've got a 3 1/4 square, and then we've got 2 of those, and then we have a 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. So let me show you what I did with those. All right, so here's our 3 1/4. You know what? I think I might have mixed up. Hang on a second. Which is this? Hang on. No, that's right. It looks bigger because it's on the white. Sorry. This is pecan pie. Sorry about that. A piece of petal pink. Again, I stamped the cluster of beans in petal pink. I cut these out of the paper, and this one I cut out. There's a circle that you can cut out the center, so I cut that out on basic white after I stamped my sentiment, which I stamped in pecan pie as well. And that is that one. Aren't those pretty? This one I popped up on dimensionals. These 2 I laid down, and this one popped up. And then then this is the other 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. I flipped the paper over to show the other side. This is on a piece of thick basic white at 8.5 by 5 1/2. And then this one I added a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 pecan pie, and then I stamped the circle that shows in the coffee in the set, and stamped that around the edges. Added my designer paper, cut out that from the paper as well, popped this up on dimensionals, and then added some twine, and my sentiment popped up on dimensionals as well. But aren't these just gorgeous? And these are quick and easy cards that you can make. And then last but not least is my 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I left the hearts going. I cut this out of the paper. These I cut out of the paper as well. And then I popped these up on dimensionals. This is on dimensionals. I stamped this in Lost Lagoon onto petal pink, and I just fussy cut. You can, no, there's a die for that. I think I die cut it. And pop these up on dimensionals, did my little sentiment, and then popped the spoon up on dimensionals as well. Isn't that cute? And then, of course, the inside. And you can always stamp something like a splatter if you want on the inside of the card just to give it something else. So, all right, so there you go. There are all of our 11 cards that this set makes. So easy. If you don't have the stamp set, I would encourage you to at least buy the paper, because if nothing else, you can cut out the images and then just use a sentiment that you have in your stash. Anything will do. It doesn't really make a difference. And then here are the 11 cards that I made. Let me place these down here so you can see them one more time. And there we go, that. I'm trying to get them all in the camera. And let's see, I'm put one right here, which is the coffee pot. Let's move these closer, and I'll put those two on the ends. So there are the 11 cards that we created using this template. So make sure you check out my blog at shallwestamp.com, and you'll be able to download the template and see the products that I used, and a link to my shopping store if you decide you want to make any purchases. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon, and have a great Saturday afternoon. Bye now.